You know why it's okay? Because today is Dumb Bleep of the Week. And it's a doozy. There's a lot. I think it's up to 13 now for Dumb Bleep of the Week. A couple of them just got added in today, some recent tweets that I saw. I've been talking with the live group here, which, by the way, you can join by going to Join GML, paying as little as $6 a month so we can hang out together and be friends. I wanted to tell you, if you join before we get the Dumb Bleep of the Year, you can be a part of something magical. This year, I'm going to have a custom trophy made for the winner of Dumb Bleep of the Year, and I don't know if they'll ever see it. I get it, but I am going to find whatever their office mailing address is, and I'm going to send them their trophy because they deserve it. It takes a lot of effort to be this dumb. I don't know if you guys realize that, but have you ever tried it? It's tough. And so they deserve to get a custom-made trophy. And just like what Costco just said, there will be 2 trophies. I was already going to do that, Costco. Whoever submitted that specific Dumb Bleep that wins, statistically, it's going to be Costco. I'll just tell you, if you're not in the live group, you know why. If you were here in the live group, statistically, it'll be Costco, but it might not. We'll see. And so whoever submitted that Dumb Bleep is going to get their own trophy as well. All right. I'm pretty pumped about that. I was looking at all these custom trophy websites today. It's not that expensive to get a trophy made. And so we're going to send it to them. Hopefully they will put it up on their mantle at home. I'm telling you, it's a tough thing to do, man. It's no joke. Okay. Let's get in to the Dumb Bleep. So if you're new here, what we do is we go through some of the dumbest statements we've seen this week, and then the live group votes on what it is. They go to the Dumb Bleep of the Year, and then that person's going to get a trophy. Here's Dumb Bleep number 1. This is a new one I saw, and I just had to add it in because it was extra dumb when it comes to this whole wealth inequality thing. So we like to start off with easy ones, and I like talking about the wealth gap, wealth inequality, rich people, all that stuff, capitalism, socialism. That's one of my favorite things to talk about here on the show. And so Representative Ilhan Ohmar gets a submission for number 1 this week. She says, the 10 richest men in the world have more money than the poorest 3.1 billion people. In fact, they have 6 times more wealth than the poorest 3.1 billion people. Inequality is a global crisis. Tax the rich. So what's the point she's making here? Well, these people, they've been able to get too much of the wealth, and all these poor people, they're getting held down because, of course, this is a fixed pie. Wealth doesn't grow. You can't create new wealth. The amount of money in the economy just stays the exact same all the time. And what we need to do to solve this problem, because there's 3.1 billion people that have less money than these top 10 people, what we need to do, we need to tax the rich. We got to give the government this money. And so, you know what? Let's just go along with that idea. I said to her, why even tax them? I say we confiscate 100% of their wealth, and we give each one of those 3.1 billion people $355. That will solve the problem right there. There will no longer be any wealth inequality, right? You see, that tells you just how stupid this statement is, and really just how fake the statement is. It's not backed up by anything what are you going to do? You're going to tax them 10%, 20%? You're going to tax some of their earnings, 10%, 20%, some of their wealth, 30%, 40%? What are you going to do with it? You're talking about how they have 6 times more wealth than the bottom 3.1 billion people. If you took all of their money, it would be $355 to each one of those people. That's not enough. That's not going to solve the problem. And in fact, they're just going to give it right back to the people in the 1% because that's who they get all their stuff from. So that'll actually just be a really big redistribution scheme from the 0.00001% to the 1% after doing that, because they're just going to spend that money and give it back to people on the 1% afterwards. That's Dumb Bleep number 1. That's an easy one to go through. Starting it off light for you. How about number 2? We're going to get Joe Biden and a couple statements that he made. So a recent one this week, he says oil companies made billions in profits this quarter. They're using these record profits to pay out their wealthy shareholders instead of investing in production and lowering costs for Americans. It's unacceptable. It's time for these companies to bring down prices at the pump. Now, this statement, if you take it on its face, would suggest a couple things. One of those things is that Joe Biden thinks that oil companies should be investing in production so they can produce more oil. Now, is that actually something that they want? Because I seem to remember a lot of times where Biden said that he's essentially going to end the oil industry. But on the other side, because prices are going up, because see, in the process of ending the oil industry, you're going to hurt the supply while the demand is still pretty high and the prices are going to go up. That's one of the biggest barriers to ending the oil industry. It's going to get too expensive for people, and people are going to get mad about it. So he's saying they should take these profits and they should produce more oil, even though he says they shouldn't produce more oil because it's going to kill the environment. And then he uses this. They're using their record profits to pay out their wealthy shareholders. They're talking about stock buybacks. Listen, if you've been investing in these companies over the last couple of years while their stock has been tanking, I don't know if you want to look back and see. I've heard some of these people on CNBC talking about why they're doing buybacks and all that. By the way, those buybacks help everyone because it removes some of the shares from the market. It can help keep the stock price up. If you're invested in the company, that's good for your portfolio. Also, if you've been holding shares of these companies before this year and you're getting dividends or whatever, yeah, I think you should get a little piece of the profits when that happens. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. We don't have to bend to the argument of that being a bad thing. I just wanted to play you one of these recent clips of Karine Jean-Pierre answering a question. The question asks her if there is a ban on U.S. petroleum products on the table. Now, this is fairly recent, so let's hear what she had to say.
How seriously is the administration considering a ban on U.S. petroleum products?
So everything is on the table. Don't have anything right now to preview. Clearly, our focus today is to make sure that we deliver on the president's promise, is to continue to lower gas prices for the American people. But again, I don't have anything to preview at this time.
So when you're running an oil company and you are in a position to make good profits, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to start to cash out, or are you just going to dump money into an industry that the most powerful body on planet Earth says that they're going to end eventually? Which one are you going to do? You're going to start to cash out. Guess what? You can't complain about it in the process. We're going to stay on Biden. This is still going to be number two. Number two is going to be Joseph R. Biden. He said this other statement the other day. I was going to address it on yesterday's episode, but I got too busy. He said, we're capping seniors' out-of-pocket costs for prescription drugs at $2,000 a year, even if their drug costs $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a year, like some cancer drugs do. Okay, that's fine. Instead of that money going to big pharma, it's going back into folks' pockets. Now, explain that one to me real quick. In this drug price cap, what they are doing is they are pricing the out-of-pocket costs for people. They are not capping the price of the drugs. So you could make the argument like, hey, we're capping stuff at $2,000 a year. And you can say that. That's going to save people money. I think on average, the out-of-pocket cost, if I was reading right yesterday, it's about $2,900, something like that, $2,900. So you could say we're going to cap it. But then when you go on to say instead of that money going to big pharma, it's going to go back into your pocket, that part's not true. Because what are they going to do after the $2,000 price cap? They're going to cover the rest of it. All it does is change what you're going to pay out of pocket. Now, they did add in the Inflation Reduction Act that they're going to start negotiating prices on some of these drugs. The price cap on your out-of-pocket starts in 2025. In 2026, they can start negotiating prices on 10 drugs. And then I think they can add an additional 15 the next year, an additional 20 the year after that. And we don't even know what the results of that's going to be. Will they be able to negotiate some of the prices down? It's possible, but they also added in there that they can increase with the pace of inflation. By the time we get to 2028, I don't know if they're going to be making less money on these drugs. So that's an all-out lie right there, that instead of the money going to Big Pharma, it's going to go back into your pocket. Big Pharma is still going to get paid out on that. And yeah, you're going to pay a little bit less, but also you're going to pay a little bit more because the government's going to be paying for it. That's going to have an increasing effect on the drugs. And also, where does the government get its money in the first place? It gets it from you. So don't act like you ain't going to pay for it. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Number 3, this is a perfectly reasonable take on the potential outcome of next week's midterm elections on MSNBC. MSNBC Historian on here. Let's just play what he had. Like I said, it's perfectly reasonable. Makes total sense. Here we go.
And a historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
Like I said, perfectly reasonable call for the future right there. This is how we stop being a democracy. And we're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system where your children might be arrested and killed if Republicans win on Tuesday next week. I'm so interested in what the stakes are going to be in 2024 because they have to up it to the most important election of our lifetimes. And it's got to be like scariest environment imaginable for everyone. Like, what's going to be the threat in 2024? I don't know how far they're going to go. Like, if they win, they will literally murder everyone the next day. That's what's going to happen. And like now, we're like, okay, it could happen sometime. Well, where are we going to go from this? Okay, that is number 3, MSNBC Historian. Let's see what else we got. That's number 3. What's number 4? Oh, this was fun. I just so happened to open Twitter at the exact same time that Robert Reich posted this tweet. Why is it important that I opened it at the exact same time he posted it? Because he deleted it like 15 seconds later. And while I was typing out a comment on the tweet when I posted it, it said this tweet has been deleted. So I promptly hit the screenshot button. And so I just pulled this from my screenshot for number 4. He said, this is a quote from the CEO of J.M. Smucker from CNBC. He says, we've been seeing inflation over the past year across the board, adding that he believes rising costs are manageable because the company has been able to pass them on to consumers. Robert Reich then says, corporations are playing you. I don't know how he interpreted that as making the point that he's constantly making. The point that he's constantly making is that corporations are just greedy, and so they're raising their prices up, and it doesn't have anything to do with their costs. They're just raising their prices up, and that's where our inflation is coming from. His tweet accidentally said that corporations are experiencing rising costs and that they would be passing them on to consumers, literally making the case, the more right-wing or libertarian or free market case for why we have inflation right now. And that is why he immediately deleted the tweet after posting it. He will do anything to try and make this point. Even so much, he's so excited, like when he sees a quote, he sees it. Oh, rising costs are manageable. We're going to pass them on to consumers. He just sees that. It's like, oh, I got to put this out there real quick. It's going to make this point. He didn't think about the fact that they're passing on costs that they have that are rising. Why are their costs rising, Rob? Would it be inflation? Is that what it could be? I don't know. No way of knowing. Okay, that's Stumbleat number 4, Robert Reich. Completely unrelated to inflation. And I mean completely unrelated. It has nothing to do with it at all. The Biden administration is going to be providing over $13 billion in aid to help American families lower their energy bills. Now, the biggest dumb point right there is the headline from CNBC. They're going to provide $13 billion to help American families lower their energy bills. What's inside of this plan? Kamala Harris plans to announce a new initiative while visiting a sheet metal workers training facility in Union Hall in Boston later on Wednesday. HHS will release $4.5 billion in low-income home energy assistance program funding, which helps pay energy bills and energy-related home repairs. The Biden administration will also provide roughly $9 billion to help low and moderate income families lower energy costs by making energy-efficient upgrades to their homes. You see, when you take money and you use it to offset the cost of a higher energy bill, that's not helping people lower their energy bills. Now, they can make the case that they're going to help people lower their costs by making energy-efficient upgrades. I have been forced into making an energy-efficient upgrade to my home, and I will go more into the details on that after I figure out exactly how much the government screwed me. But I had to get a new AC unit for my house, and I couldn't just fix the one I had because it uses this old product called Freon, or R22 as they call it in the biz, which has basically been banned. They can't even make it anymore. You can pretty much just get recycled Freon. It's insanely expensive. And doing work on those units is also very expensive, and they did not recommend. So I had to get a new one. The new one is getting much more expensive because of inflation. And also, I'm forced into buying a more energy efficient unit than what I would have, say, a year ago, because they're new standards that they just released. I might get a tax credit for getting this unit, and the company has let me know that this unit is going to bring down my energy bill by about $15 a month. So I do thank you, Biden administration, for helping push me into this $8,000 cash price deal that I might get a $1,000 tax rebate on, and I might save $15 a month on my energy after getting this installed. I really want to say thank you to them for helping me out in this troubling time. What would I do without the government? Number 6, that was number 5, $13 billion to help with energy bills. Inflation, anyone? Let's take a turn over to a little bit of the social aspect of things. The North Star, I believe, is ran by Sean King, talking about the passing of Takeoff, who, if you don't know, is apparently a famous rapper. I'm not saying anything bad about Takeoff. I've just never heard of this person, and they were killed, and I'm sad about that. So not making fun of it. I'm just saying I had no clue. Here's the article, How White Teens Have Increased Violence in the Genre of Rap. How white teens have increased violence in rap. Black Americans have been made to entertain white people since the beginnings of slavery, a practice persisting through the Jim Crow era to today. Minstrel shows, where white people and enslaved black people painted themselves with charcoal and performed skits and songs depicting racial stereotypes, were immensely popular, predating television and popular radio. It's the number one form of entertainment in America for decades. Today, the most mainstream form of media is music, and the number one genre in America is rap. Goes on to say, rap is also my favorite. I listen to, and then we name off things that I guess give you some street cred because of the rappers that you listen to. Yet I will be the first to admit that the rap community can be toxic. There's glorification of violence, guns, drugs, and sex that has only in recent years become so intrinsically tied to the identity of rap music as a whole. See, this is just a recent thing because of how bad racism has gotten. That toxic community just popped up. And like I said, it has to do with our systemically racist society. But I want to be clear, much of the glorification of violence in the rap community I've witnessed comes from young white people. When I go to rap concerts, the fans around me are primarily white. Well, stop going to Post Malone concerts then. Jeez. Some of the leading rap media icons that go through all this are white men. Like the NBA and NFL, the people who run and profit the most from the music industry are almost all white men. They construct the narrative that the highest paying audience wants to hear, using black people as their cast of characters, just as they did in the days of the minstrel shows. You see, rap music is just like when we used to have enslaved people going around entertaining white people. It's the exact same thing, okay? Just like the NFL draft is just like a slave auction. And it's, same thing, for sure. I mean, you guys can't, I know when I think back, because I used to listen to a lot of rap. I used to listen to a lot of rap like mid-90s, early 2000s. It was all about family values and like brotherly love and being kind to one another. And just a lot of love, you know, the most famous rap songs back then. Black people are the ones putting their bodies on the line, so white people have something to watch and listen to. And when it's not black people, it's white celebrities adorning black features to fulfill a caricature. The tragic death of Takeoff is the most recent of what feels like serial shooting deaths of famed rappers. There's common belief being spread that this level of violence is normal, expected even. When someone is a rapper, a level one would never expect from country or pop music artists. It is yet another way in which white people implicitly associate black people with violence and tell them they brought it upon themselves. But if we must point fingers at why so many young black rappers are dying, let's point them the right way and be sure to analyze all the factors here, including the role young white men play in these highly publicized killings. That is, that comes from the North Star. It wasn't written by Sean King. It was written by Kendi King. I'm assuming a relation there, but I have no clue. Listen, if you want to go down this route and say that young white men are basically demanding this violent form of rap, and that's why rap has become so violent as of late, but then the rap culture just gets wrapped up in this violence that young white men were asking for so they would buy their albums, and then they get in these disputes among people, and that's why so many young black rappers are dying. That's a choice, but it's a really stupid one. And I'm pretty sure everyone can see right through it because we all have a memory that expands past the last couple of years, okay? That is Dumb Bleep number 6, halfway through, all right? Now we're going to go to an AOC. This is standalone Dumb Bleep right here. She will, of course, be mentioned when we talk about Twitter here soon. Number 7, AOC. Well, this is in response to a tweet from Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz said something that I am shocked to see Senator Ted Cruz say. Abolish the IRS. That is what Ted Cruz said. Maybe he's becoming more libertarian. I'm not sure. I don't know that that's what's happening. I don't know how he would be able to pay for all the things that he seems to be okay with paying money for with your money if we abolish the IRS. But hey, it's a tweet. That's a nice start. AOC responds and says, notice how Republicans are frothing at the mouth to abolish the few enforcement mechanisms that target large-scale tax evasion and neo-Nazi groups. In one of his earlier acts, Trump also defunded operations countering right-wing violent extremist groups. Tells you a lot. So this is the kind of thing, by the way, a bunch of libertarians listening right now that you're going to hear if anyone ever pushes some of the goals that you have. And this is where, you know, we talked with all the libertarian higher-ups a couple weeks ago, and even some of the people that weren't happy with some of the changes. This is the kind of thing that you have to counter because, you see, you want to abolish the IRS because you're a bigot and you're a violent extremist. That's why you want to do it. She couldn't just say they want to target the way that we receive money so we can help people when they're having a hard time and we can give welfare and Medicare and Social Security or whatever, all that stuff for people that we say is helping those that are in need. She didn't even say that. You want to target the IRS because they target neo-Nazi groups and violent extremist groups, Ted Cruz. Clearly. and they target the Zodiac killer, Ted Cruz. And so you want to get rid of them right now. That's a great point, AOC. We will mention you again soon. All right, taking a hard transition to this next video that is on MSNBC. You know, we're about to deal with these elections coming up, and you know that voter ID laws, of course, they suppress people's votes. And we've talked a lot about how it suppresses the votes of people who just cannot get an ID to save their life. It's just not possible. Of course, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the group that I'm talking about, but there's people who can't find the DMV or don't know how to go about finding a DMV whatsoever and just too poor to do anything. I'm just not going to mention black people. Those are the people who can't do it. That's a joke, by the way. I'm just making my my favorite Kanye joke right there. You guys see that video of Kanye West not mentioning the doctor? I mean, I'm sure everyone has seen it. I know, like, Kanye's gone, and I'm not agreeing with the stuff that he's saying. But good Lord, that was a hilarious video. It just was. Like, if he was just a comedian and he was saying that, that's a really funny joke. All right, well, let's listen to this real fast before we get too off track.
Good to see you. And as Gen Z gears up to hit the polls, transgender voters are concerned they might be blocked from casting their ballots.
Yeah, that's because a growing number of states are enforcing stricter voter identification laws that disproportionately impact the community.
NBC Out reporter Joe Yerkeba joins us now with more on this. Joe, good morning to you. So first of all, how can voter ID laws create obstacles for transgender people? And where do we see some of the strictest voter ID laws?
Sure, yeah. So voter ID laws disproportionately impact trans people because trans people are more likely to have IDs without the name that they go by and the gender marker that reflects how they present. And recent research shows that just over 200,000 eligible trans voters in 31 states that both conduct their elections mostly in person and require or request ID at the polls don't have IDs that reflect their gender identities and the names they go by. And, you know, the states that have the strictest voter ID laws are mostly concentrated in the South and Midwest.
Okay. Hold on. How does having an ID that doesn't reflect the name that you go by or the gender that you identify with, how does that affect your ability to vote? Someone tell me. Like, my ID says a different name than what I go by. It's not like I go there and I'm like, hey, I'm Nate. They're like, oh, your ID says Nathaniel. I'm like, no, I'm fucking Nate, okay? They don't call me Nathaniel. You get that full Christian given name out of your mouth, bigot. That's not, no, just say what name is on your ID. Oh, it says here that you're a male. Well, I guess I can't vote then. I mean, I've got a penis, but I'm a woman. So you're saying you're not going to let me vote? That ID says that I'm a male. It's basically impossible for me to vote now. There's no possible way that I can get through here by just saying the name that is on my ID and the gender that corresponds with how I pee. Just either one of those. Nope. Vote by mail. Nice, Sam. I like it. By the way, we were talking about the Kanye West thing. Like I said, I don't like where he's going here, but it was hilarious. You have to, well, you don't have to agree that it's hilarious, but here you go.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's funny. It's just funny. I don't have to be mad about it. I don't agree with the fact that he got allegedly misdiagnosed because it was a Jewish doctor. I don't think that there was some type of conspiracy to misdiagnose him. or anything like that. Okay. Moving on from that, that was number 8. Voter ID laws, they disproportionately affect trans people. Number 9. We're going to get into Twitter now. Musk has owned Twitter for less than a week, but he's already sent a clear message. The platform is about to get worse for queer people. I know what you're thinking. How? Like, how? Seriously, what are you talking about? Well, they tell you how inside of this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here are some of the points. Elon Musk responded to Hillary Clinton's tweet about Paul Pelosi with a conspiracy theory involving a gay love affair between Paul Pelosi and the person that assaulted him. And so that's one way. Of course, you would only think that because you don't like gay people. That's the way. Also, he responded to a tweet from Michaela Peterson, who asked Elon Musk to bring her dad back to the platform. Her dad, Jordan Peterson, maybe you've heard of him, was suspended from Twitter because he dead-named Elliot Page. And he says that people who were dubiously sent to Twitter jail are going to be freed, something like that. And so that's going to become a worse place for the LGBT or just queer people. They just say queer people on that thing right there. And a quote here. Also, you got the usage of the N-word increased 500% immediately following Musk's purchase. I don't know what that has to do with the queer community. But also, I think it's important to note on that whole news piece that even LeBron James tweeted about. They looked into it and they found 50,000 tweets from 300 accounts. They were just troll farms, just tweeting stuff immediately afterwards for the purpose of getting these articles written that people are now talking about. I don't know who's running those. Maybe we'll figure that out. But anyway, the article ends with a quote saying, "We are very concerned about Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter," the Human Rights Campaign wrote in a statement on Friday. "This isn't about censorship or discrimination of ideas. It's about what kind of company they want to be and what kind of world they want to shape." What kind of world Twitter wants to shape. That right there tells you the intentions of all the people who don't want Elon Musk to be controlling Twitter, who want to be controlling speech, to bring up all the DHS leaks and all the stuff like that we've talked a lot about this week. Yes, it does have to do with shaping the world through controlling speech by people. Speaking of controlling speech, we'll give a quick shout out here for Dumb Bleep number 10 to Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, I believe. He said, "In the days since Musk took Twitter private, the platform has seen an uptick in hate speech." And Musk himself, by the way, that was the 50,000 tweets from 300 accounts. Totally normal stuff right there. Musk himself used the platform and his influence to spread a baseless conspiracy theory about a violent attack on an elected official's family member. He then says free speech does not include spreading misinformation to downplay political violence. I have news for you, Senator Dick. That's exactly what free speech includes. Because who defines what misinformation is? Who decides what the truth is? We could pull you all the way back to 2020 and all of the baseless claims about a certain pathogen being leaked from a laboratory. That, of course, that was just misinformation and several other things out there that we know about. Yes, you should allow misinformation and whatever, as long as it isn't directly harming someone. By the way, Twitter itself fact-checked this, or at least added context to it. I guess it's not a fact check. By the way, can I complain about something real quick? Our YouTube shorts have been going really well so far. Like, normal YouTube videos, they haven't been doing that great. I get it. It's an hour-long video. It's very rare that you just jump on and watch an hour-long video for something, unless I guess it's like Tim Pool or Joe Rogan or something like that. When we do YouTube shorts, however, even though we don't have a lot of subscribers, we'll still get somewhere between 1,000 to 5,000 views on a YouTube short. And that's consistent. Like, they don't bomb. That's why I keep doing the YouTube shorts. Well, the most recent one I did about the fact check that Twitter did on the White House's claim that they then deleted that tweet afterwards, that video, which included the words fact check, and I believe might have included the words propaganda and Twitter and Elon Musk, that video, a couple days later, just can't seem to get over 3 views. Just can't seem to get over that 3-view hump right now. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy here, but I find that to be pretty weird because it is the worst performing YouTube short we have ever had, by far, not even close. And it just can't seem to make it over that pivotal 3-view hump. Now, what's also interesting is one of the major factors they pay attention to is whether or not people watch the entire video, or what percentage of the video they watch before switching, because they want to get people's attention. The views, the 3 views that the video has, how much of the video was watched? 99.5% of the video was watched, which is one of their most important metrics. They find a video, they say, hey, people are watching this entire video. We're going to spread it out in the algorithms. Anyway, sorry. Twitter added on this context. They said there is no free speech exception covering misinformation to downplay political violence. If there were, for example, then Holocaust denialism could be prosecuted. It is not. The Supreme Court has said even false speech and advocacy of violence are generally protected. And then they add in actually a link from MTSU on there. Okay. Now let's get into all the very, very entitled and upset blue check marks for Dumb Bleep number 11. I'm sure you've seen this. Well, Elon Musk wants to charge $8 for your verification on Twitter. And the people that are in the checkmark class right now, they're very upset about that, especially people on the left. In fact, pretty much only people on the left. There's a couple things that I think are a reason why. Why are they upset? One, having the blue check mark, I'm sure, now not for Stephen King, he's got enough things to make him feel cool. A lot of people out there, it's like a badge of honor. Look at me, I'm blue check mark verified on Twitter. That means I'm an important person. I'm more important than the other people that are out there saying stuff. When I talk, it's something that people need to hear, and it's more important than others. All right? That's kind of what the blue check mark says. And I understand that. We don't have a blue check on Twitter. I've kind of wanted one, and I'm sure it would make me feel that way. In that way, it creates a new class of people on Twitter, essentially. It creates a Twitter upper class, this elite Twitter upper class who have more important things to say than other people. It also signifies that you're a public figure. A lot of people feel this need to be slightly famous at some point in time during their lives. And there's a lot of people who get that blue check mark, and it's kind of like an acknowledgement that you're at least more famous than that guy right there who doesn't have a blue check mark. And I get that. And I understand how it could be disappointing to lose that. However, $8 a month, that's not that big of a deal. If those are the things that you're getting from your blue check mark, okay, might be worth the $8 a month, plus all the other priority shipment that you get with your comments and tweets and stuff like that. I think it could be worth it. There's another reason, though, and that's that the people on the left are very upset that Elon Musk is taking over Twitter and he's allowing people to have more free speech. And so now they want to draw a line and they don't want to give Elon Musk any money. And I do think that that is going to be a line that's going to be drawn for a lot of people. And I don't know that this is going to end up really well for Elon Musk and Twitter, because I think it's important that it doesn't become this echo chamber of right-wing ideas. I do think that that is important, that we keep left-wing people on there. It's especially important to me because I want to make fun of them. It's part of my job. And it's going to be harder to make fun of them if they leave Twitter and I have to download some other crappy app to try and follow what they're saying. Do you really think that the White House is going to pay $8 a month to Twitter for their account? Maybe they will. But guess what? That's going to be like a sign, I guarantee you. And I was talking to someone on Twitter. I'm sorry, I forgot their username. One of the people who listen, I was talking to them and they said there needs to be an option, and it could be more expensive, where you can pay for the same benefits, but it's not public on your profile that you did that. So you pay for the priority commenting and replies and whatever, all that stuff. And you get it, but it doesn't put the blue check mark on your Twitter. I think that's going to be an important move that they need to make, because after this plan goes into effect, getting that blue check mark is going to tell all of your followers that you agree with Elon Musk taking over Twitter. You think Twitter is very valuable. Elon Musk runs it, and you're giving Elon Musk your money. And I think that's going to be a problem. So anyway, dumb belief number 11. We're going to go through a few things here. Stephen King says $20 a month to keep my blue check. F that. They should pay me. If that gets instituted, I'm gone like Enron. All right, so he's not going to do that. Makes the claim that people should pay him. And some of these people, I do think that there's a point to being a very famous person on Twitter, that people go there to see what their posts are. And I think that they need to come up with a system. TikTok has something called a creator fund. And what they do is they take in all the money, and then, kind of your number of views and your percentage of the views that you get. It's kind of the same way it works with streaming services, like your percentage of the views or interactions on Twitter or reach or whatever. You get paid out based on a percentage of the pie, however many interactions you have. And I think that they could do something like that. They take this $8 pool that everyone pays, and then they pay it back out on the scale of whatever your percentage was. I can see that. Elon Musk, one of the most followed people on Twitter, let's say before he was on Twitter, could you say that it would make sense for Twitter to pay Elon Musk to stay on their platform because he has so many people paying attention to him? As far as a business goes, yeah, I do think that could be a good business move for people. David Hogg says verified people are a major reason why many people are on Twitter in the first place. If anything, they should be paying us. Verified accounts bring people to Twitter and help with ad revenue. It's a slightly decent point. I don't know if he really means it, though. I do think a lot of these people are very, very worried about losing their elite status over other people. I think that they like having the blue check, and they like feeling like they are more important than the people that they are talking to. I think that's one thing. You can still use it, by the way, without getting that verification. You've got your username, and people can pay attention to the username. For instance, there's someone who it just looks like it's Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. I can't remember the name of the account, but it says Donald J. Trump, and there's a blue check mark. But you look at the username, and you can see it's not Donald Trump. Count Dankula, that's right. Yeah. So you could still look at the username and see that it's the actual person. Jennifer Pro-Privacy Rubin, she says, let me put it this way. I will leave Twitter rather than pay Musk a single dime for anything. I do think this is a line a lot of people are going to draw. Then we get into a little bit of different takes on this idea. This is all dumb bleep number 11. This is from Nina Turner. If a verification check cost $8, while the federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour, shaking my head. What the actual F does that have to do with anything, Nina? Seriously, there are a lot of things that cost money, while it is also true that the federal minimum wage that almost no one makes is still $7.25 an hour. You can't say, well, no one can charge for anything because the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Everything's got to be free, right? Also, it's $8 for a month. It's not $8 an hour. So it's not like you're losing 75 cents an hour so you can keep Twitter. Seriously, it makes no sense whatsoever. That's not all. AOC says, LMAO, laughing my bleep off at a billionaire earnestly trying to sell people on the idea that free speech is actually an $8 a month subscription plan. Yet again, another point that makes no sense whatsoever. It's not a point. It's just words. And she knew that it would get 77,000 retweets when she said something like that and 700,000 likes. Because if you say something really stupid It doesn't really have to make any sense. There doesn't have to really be a point to it, but people will retweet it. All right. Free speech is actually an $8 a month subscription plan. You don't have to pay for the subscription plan, by the way. I'm not paying for it right now. We're not verified on Twitter, and I could just go on not being verified on Twitter. He's not charging everyone to use it. He's saying that if you want priority over other people, then you can pay for that. Because right now, your blue check probably does get you some priority over other people, doesn't it? So you can pay for that. And also, whether or not you're paying for it, they could charge for everyone, every single person. And that doesn't mean that you're hurting free speech. That's not a thing. You're paying for your phone that you use to talk on Twitter, aren't you? You get charged for the phone. You get charged for your internet plan at home or your cell phone plan or whatever. So you can't have free speech, right? Because you had to pay for those things. I don't think free means monetarily free. That's my point. Now, hilariously enough, Bailey says, or Jeff says free speech is $8. Freedom is $1.05. They could be the same thing, and that could just be inflation since that time. That freedom has been inflated to $8 since then. That's what I can see. Elon Musk responds hilariously and says, your feedback is appreciated. Now pay $8. Love it. That has over 1 million likes and 97,000 retweets, more than AOC. By the way, she's complaining that Elon has shut off her Twitter, basically, even though she's still posting about her Twitter being messed up, but her notifications are messed up. It could be because you just got ratioed by someone who's got like 150 million followers, and there's been 1.2 million reactions to that tweet just on the Elon Musk page, and you're trying to get all of them. I don't know. That could be part of it. But that's not all. We're still on Dumb Bleep 11. This keeps going because the Socialist Party of Great Britain said, hold on, I haven't said anything stupid yet. And so they came in and commented on Elon Musk's post about your feedback being appreciated. Now pay $8. And they post this picture of an $8 Starbucks drink. That's 30 minutes. An $8 blue check. That's 30 days. And then they post a picture of the sun. And it says free 5 billion years until Musk turns it into a product. Free until Musk turns it into a product. The sun. What the hell are they talking about? Solar power? Yeah, the sun is still free. Like, I don't know if you know this. You go outside. It's 12 right now, Central Time. The sun is shining. If it's not, well, we're kind of all arguing over something that doesn't matter, but the sun is still shining out there. And no one's going to charge me for that sun shining. Okay? It's still going to be out there. Now, if you would like to harness the power that comes from that sun and turn it into something that powers your house for you or your car or whatever, then that could end up costing money. Yeah, but those panels don't grow on trees now, do they? There's no one planting panels in the field right now waiting to harvest them 4 months from now or anything like that. That's just not what it is. Great job. Great job, Socialist Party of Great Britain. I really love it. You guys think that we ended with the dumb right there? Because there's still another one and another one that we added on. Number 12, this happened this week. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty from The Atlantic. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty from The Atlantic. Now, I went through all of this article. You guys know that pandemic that we had. That's what they're talking about. This person has decided that since there have been a bunch of alarmist claims that people made to control people, and since a lot of them turned out to not be true, and a lot of those people who were controlling others and ruining their lives were wrong, that we just need to let bygones be bygones, okay? that was weird. We're sorry. Let's just have a ceasefire here. I get it. I was insanely wrong and I ruined your entire life. But I just think that we should not talk about it anymore. Honestly, I think it's better for everyone that you don't bring up how I stunted your kids' growth and education and maybe changed the rest of their entire life, or forced you to take a product that killed some people. On the whole, it's safe. Forced you to do something that killed some people. I know you didn't get to go to your grandma's funeral or your mom's funeral. You didn't get to hold your loved one's hand while they were dying. I know that you put everything you had that you had saved up through your entire life into this business. And then we threatened you and forced you to shut it down. And you lost all of that. And now you're depressed and you're an alcoholic and a drug addict. But don't you think it's best that we don't talk about that anymore? It's a very, very convenient position to take. I do have to say one thing, though. We should be slightly nice to the person who wrote this article. Now, The Atlantic has posted tons of dumb stuff, but I went through the list of all the articles that this person had written, and here are some of them. Kids' last COVID policy makes no sense. Kids should face fewer restrictions than their parents, not more. Universities need to catch up to the post-vaccine reality. Remote learning hurts students. The COVID externalities have changed. Schools aren't super spreaders. Parents can't wait around forever. And the just stay home message will backfire. We need less extreme and more nuanced recommendations for navigating life during the pandemic. Now, so that's the author, Emily Oster. The Atlantic, however, has posted, as you know, a lot of terrible things over the course of this. So you need to be able to separate those. Sometimes news publications, they will publish things from people as opinion pieces, or maybe they have writers that don't necessarily have all the agreements with the Atlantic, and they post things from multiple sources. Okay, so the actual author has been pretty consistent on this, that we needed a more nuanced approach to how we handle the pandemic and that we were doing it all wrong. So I do have to say that for everyone. Don't take this out on the author. She's only trying to help the people who destroyed a lot of people's lives. Okay, so don't take it out on her. Here's the main thing that we have to take from this whole thing. I'm not going to read through the whole article. You get it. She said that, well, we made decisions. We didn't have all the information. We made choices out of fear. A lot of them turned out to be wrong. She says getting something wrong wasn't a moral failing. Okay, sometimes. In some instances, the right people were right for the wrong reasons. Okay? So the thing that you need to approach from this, number one, she's partially right that if we just, as the public, we just go after each other for all of these things, I don't think that's going to be constructive. A lot of people were not making those decisions. The people who made the decisions to lock people in their houses, shut down the schools, made all these terrible decisions, ruin people's lives. What do you do about that? To me, that's the real question. And those are the people that need to be approached in this subject. That's the government. That's these institutions. They need to be held to account. All the people who are making those decisions. As far as the people go, what do you do about the people that didn't really have power, although the government is really doing what they think people want them to do most of the time? In my opinion, this is an ideological failing, and I think that that is our job to solve that problem. Not the government's job. We deal with the government and we take away the powers that they used to ruin a lot of people's lives. That's how you get retribution for that. You create a system where they can't do this anymore with bad information or bad intentions, either one. You create that system. But with the people, we got to figure out why people were so okay with this. Why did people blindly trust the government? That's a question that needs to be asked and answered. And we need to work on that solution. And to me, I'm going to take some responsibility. That is our job to solve that problem. Why did they let fear cloud all of their decision making? Why did they care more about safety and security over liberty? Why did they allow themselves to only see one side of the data? And that's the fear part of the data, the government part of the data. Why did they go with that? Why wouldn't they pay attention to any of the other data that there was out there? Why, when the government labeled those people conspiracy theorists or racists or whatever, did they go along with that? And then probably actually thought that any of the alternative information they were seeing, that was all completely made up. Why are people so okay with removing liberties from other people? Why is that a secondary? Why is it safety first? And then whether or not you have any liberties left second. This has been a problem for a long time, not just with the left, but with the right also. Patriot Act, you know what I'm talking about? So there's a problem on both the left and right with caring more about safety and security than liberty. And that's our job to try and solve that. So we can have the amnesty after we solve those problems. There is no amnesty for the people who made those decisions, for the people who withheld information, who knowingly withheld information, who lied repeatedly about things, all the way from big pharma corporations to the people in the government that knew about it and still lied about it, the people in the media that pushed all the propaganda for them. No amnesty. Not going to happen. They're going to lose their jobs. They're going to pay massive fines. We're going to make sure that they're never going to have any control over anyone ever again. And then we'll talk about letting it go afterwards. That's where I come down on this issue. So those are the original 12 dumb bleeps that I put in the show. And I thank everyone who's still hanging out with me right now, because this has been a long show so far. But let's hear real quick for dumb bleep number 13 from Stephen A. Smith, who's very, very concerned with the inequality happening at ESPN.
We are still black in this country. We don't trust this country in terms of meritocracy always. We know the bottom line is that just like women are underpaid compared to male counterparts, blacks are underpaid compared to white counterparts. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and of course, people look at me, I'm not talking about me, even though I got news for you. I am underpaid compared to some people on television and what they get paid, but that's a subject for another day. I ain't apologizing for that to a damn soul. I am underpaid. Having said all of that, it ain't about me.
It's not about him. Not about him at all. Now, I found some interesting information. It does seem like it is about him just a little bit. Stephen A. Smith, Bailey was saying, who is this guy? He's someone who seems to always be upset and mad and saying like douchebaggery type things about everyone in the sports world. I've always thought it was interesting for people that get so worked up about the sport. Like, it's crazy. You watch ESPN or whatever it is. I love sports. I love football. I don't see how people get so worked up about it. I don't understand how that even happens. Like it's like they're having political conversations when they're talking about whether or not someone's a good quarterback or not, or whether or not someone should have ran a different play or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Yeah, like Jim Cramer, but for sports. He's seems to be very hateful individual. At least, okay, the clips that I see from him are him being a very hateful individual. The interesting information is that he's the highest paid on-air employee at ESPN. I feel like that's relevant since he just said that he was underpaid compared to his white counterparts who did the same job. If they work at bigger companies that actually make money, then Stephen A. Smith, that seems like a you problem. Maybe you need to go work at a different organization that actually makes money, not one that people have been playing hot potato with because they don't want to take the losses. So that's one thing. And by the way, you're the highest paid on-air person. Total contract, $12 million. Okay, that's pretty good. $8 million contract with ESPN plus $4 million production contract. That's $12 million in a year. Highest paid person on air. Costco, thank you for sending this over and for getting me that data. That's why I decided to go ahead and mention this for dumb bleep number 13. He also mentions pay gaps between women and pay gaps between whites and blacks. And I know what he's doing. He's citing the information that does not take into account what your job is. Just the whole population. when you actually look at the jobs and you look at the same years of experience, the same consecutive time worked at that job, very, very different picture. There might be slight differences. In fact, sometimes you'll see that women make more. I don't know what the gap is still between whites and blacks. There could still be one, but that is not his situation at all. That's Dumb Bleep number 13. Let me throw the numbers and on this real quick. There they are. Now let's roll back through all of them. Remember, this is not in my little slideshow here, but Stephen A. Smith is number 13. Number 1 was Ilhan Ohmar. I'm talking about the 10 richest people having more money than the poorest 3.1 billion people, and that we need to tax the rich. By the way, that would give each person $355, and then there would be no more of those 10 richest people, but everyone would have a cool $355 after that. President Biden for number 2. Oil companies making billions, they need to be investing in production. Also, we don't want them to produce anymore. We're going to shut them down pretty soon. And also saying that they're going to cap drug costs at $2,000 a year, and that money, instead of the money going to Big Pharma, it's going to go to you. The money's still going to go to Big Pharma. They're not capping the prices that the people are asking for. They're just going to cap what your out-of-pocket is, and then they're going to cover the rest of it. Number 3, MSNBC Historian. If you vote for Republicans, your kids are going to be murdered and democracy is going to die. Number 4, Robert Reich deleted tweet about why we have inflation. Corporations have rising costs and they're passing them on to consumers. Whoops. He deleted it right after he posted it. Number 5, Biden administration is going to pay $13 billion to help people with their energy bills, completely unrelated to inflation. Number 6, Sean King. How do you describe this one? White people are making rap more violent, and that's why so many black rappers are being killed by other black people, no less. I know. At first, you didn't believe it, but now you do. Number 7, AOC. Ted Cruz wants to abolish the IRS because he wants to protect neo-Nazi groups that the IRS is targeting. That's why. That's the main reason. Number 8, voter ID laws disproportionately impact trans people. Number 9, Twitter's getting real bad for the gays already. We can already tell because Jordan Peterson might be coming back. Number 10, Senator Dick says that free speech does not allow spreading misinformation. It does. Number 11, all the blue checks very upset about the $8. We went through all that. Stephen King, David Hogg, Jennifer Rubin, Nina Turner, AOC. And by the way, included in number 11 was the Socialist Party saying that the sun has been free until Elon Musk is going to turn it into a product. I don't know. I have no word. There are no words for things like this. Number 12, it's time for pandemic amnesty. Let's let it go. Okay. I know we destroyed your life and I think we need to stop talking about it. Number 13 was Stephen A. Smith. Get your votes in. Let's see what we get. It looks like it's going to be pretty lopsided right now. Listen, everyone, make sure you go to joingmail.com so you can get your votes in. By the way, you still have time. You can get in for Dumb Bleep of the Year, and whoever wins is going to get a trophy sent to their office, and whoever submitted that Dumb Bleep is going to get a trophy from us as well. So you want to go to joingmail.com, pay as little as $6 a month so you can hang out for Dumb Bleep episodes at least and get your votes in and, be our friends. Sometimes you come in town and we hang out with you. That's pretty cool, right? Sometimes we do Nate Fest. Didn't do that this year, but, TBD. So you want to do that. You also want to go to GodHatesFeds.com, get yourself a God Hates Feds t-shirt. And if you are interested in trading in the stock market, but you have no clue what the heck you're looking at, then you want to go to NatesCrashCourse.com. NatesCrashCourse.com. Over 100 videos, and I go live pretty much every single morning at 8 a.m. to talk about the market that day. So you want to go to NatesCrashCourse.com. Who's going to win? It looks like pandemic amnesty from The Atlantic. And I did add in the caveat. Emily Oster has not been on the shut everyone down and push the unvaccinated out of society, but The Atlantic has. So this goes to The Atlantic. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty. That is Dumb Bleep of the Week. It will move on to the bracket challenge at the end of the year. I'm excited. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. Share the show. subscribe, listen, hit like, comment, hit share on whatever it is you see that we post. Beat those algorithms into submission. I mean it. Violently beat the algorithms into submission with sharing and commenting and liking on all of our posts. If you do all of those things, Charlie said he's coming back on Monday. All right? He was pretty good for the end of this week, but then I got a billion interviews and all that I had to do. And I'm leaving to go to Chattanooga right after I finish uploading this episode. Okay? So you do all that. We will be back on Monday with another fine episode. Until then, have a great weekend and a good morning, Liberty.
You know, the rapidly rising in with I don't know.
That'll work.